Glenn and I have been talking over the last few weeks about the partnership we will have when we return to Albany in January. And one of the most pressing issues that I've been at the forefront of is the fight to make our property tax structure more fair and make sure that other communities pay their fair share, so the burden's not just falling on the people of Staten Island and certain areas of Brooklyn and the Bronx and Queens. And many of you know I fought to add a Staten Islander to the Property Tax Commission. We were successful in that fight, and the first meeting of that Property Tax Commission is September 27th, in which, of course, we will be there to advocate for the people of Staten Island, and we want everyone to turn out for that because it's very important. It is something that we got a commitment from the mayor during the campaign trail last year, and we need to follow through and make sure that our voices are heard. But Glenn and I plan to introduce legislation in Albany that is going to deal with making New York City's property tax structure a little fair by moving the assessments to market value, ensuring that somebody's market value is actually what's being taxed, making sure that there is a fair, equal, effective tax rate through all the different communities, one for the city. So for example, South Shore of Staten Island, we pay 3 times as much the effective tax rate. Actually, the South Shore of Staten Island pays the highest effective tax rate in the entire city of New York. And yet, Bill de Blasio's council district pays the least. They pay 0.33%. South Shore of Staten Island pays 1.05%. When you look at the entire market value, meaning what all the homes are worth combined, here in the South Shore, total market value is $23.8 billion, and yet they're collecting $226.7 million from South Shore residents. Meanwhile, the collective market value of all the homes in Bill de Blasio's council district is $24.2 billion, roughly the same as it is on the South Shore, yet they are collecting only a third, $81.4 million. So we're here today with the residents of this community because they shared their tax bills with us, and it's quite outrageous that the homes in this community are valued half as much as Bill de Blasio's home, yet they are paying 3 times as much in property taxes than Mayor de Blasio. So it's a corrupt system, it's an unfair system, and it's something that Glenn and I are going to seek to change. And we also need to implement a property tax levy cap at 2%. Every municipality nearly in our state has a cap, which means they can only increase the amount of money they seek from property taxpayers every year by 2%. New York City, surprise, is exempt from that, and that is because of a deal cut by Speaker Sheldon Silver, Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Mayor de Blasio. So we want to continue to fight for that, and of course our proposal also includes a circuit breaker to protect senior citizens who have been in their homes for a long time. So our plan, we've worked out some of the numbers, and we would see a drop in the property taxes here on Staten Island for individuals who have historically been paying much more than they should be. And of course, other communities like Park Slope, Brooklyn, well, you know, they're going to have to pay their fair share to make up that gap. And so I'm here today to say that January, Glenn and I will be putting in our bill. We've worked very hard on this. I've done multiple research over the last year. Glenn has also added his view as an attorney into this legislation, and we're going to introduce this bill and continue to fight for the people of Staten Island, continue to fight for those on the South Shore who need a voice to continue to be out there, right? Because Ron Castorina did a great job. It was a great partner. We worked very closely together. And Glenn, I look forward to working with you next.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So firstly, I want to thank our Assemblywoman Nicole Malliotakis for that endorsement. And it means so much to me personally. And I have to tell you that I will follow and work with our Assemblywoman Nicole Malliotakis because she is a fighter for this community. And I have to tell you, she is the one that started this all by putting together a tax rally in Midland Beach on a rainy, cloudy Saturday morning where hundreds of people showed up, and lo and behold, she got this commission together that's going to review property taxes here in Staten Island with the mayor. it was because of this woman here that we have a seat at that table, and that we have the table in any event. So what we're talking about is just the convoluted, inequitable property taxes that goes on in this city like no other. And as Nicole points out, we are paying 2 and 3 times more than other places in the city where those people have higher values of their homes. So, you know, it's known as the ad valorem tax, which basically means of the value. So if we really want to use the term ad valorem, I think the mayor really needs to look at that and say, you know, what we really should do is institute just the market value, pay a percentage of that property tax, and everything will be fair and equal. Mr. de Blasio keeps talking about making this community, making this city and its citizens one that is together, and that we come together and we're all equal. Well, so Mr. Mayor, I'm telling you that the people here and the people on the South Shore don't feel that. We don't believe that we have a great relationship with you, and we want you to know that we are not going to end this fight. And as Assemblywoman Nicole Malliotakis points out, we will be working with Senator Lanza, who is working on legislation right now to put the 2% cap on the mayor's spending. Mr. Mayor, you have to stick within a budget. You can't just keep spending the way you're spending. We're not going to put up with it, and I'm going to fight every day when I get to Albany with Nicole Malliotakis. And I want to introduce some of our neighbors here. Sir, come on, step up here. You can tell us your name.
Joe Siciliano. I live at 40 Brookside.
Joe, why don't you tell us about how your taxes have been increasing and what you're feeling about that?
Well, my feeling about this, when I first moved here, they told me it would be no more than $7,500. Now all of a sudden we went from $7,500 to $10,200. And last year they raised it $700. And every time I call and complain, they turn around and say to me, oh, when I send somebody out there, most likely we're going to raise your taxes. Okay. We have my friend Antonio that lives on the corner here at 44. He's up to 11,000 and change. Why is that? The other night I heard that Mr. de Blasio has a house and he's only paying $3,000.
And his house is worth $1.7 million.
I mean, come on. I mean, you know, you get people who's retired. Look, I could afford the house. I could afford the maintenance of the house. But 3 years from now, I got to sell because it'll be up to $14,000. So, Mr. Mayor, what are you going to do for the residents of Staten Island, the forgotten borough? Woo!
By the way, to his point, here is one of the neighbors that is actually selling.
Yes.
And is moving on.